This session describes file handling in Python. This mainly involves functions for reading and writing a file. Functions discussed are open, write, tell, seek, read and readline. Open function is used to open a file in Python. If the file does not exist, then open function will create a file. Open returns a file object and is most commonly used with two arguments, the file name and the mode. For file name argument, path name can also be included. File name without path means that file resides in the current directory. The second argument describes the way in which the file will be used. For example, if you give R as the second argument, it means file will only be read. W means file is available for only writing. And A means open the file for appending. Any data written to the file is automatically added to the end in the case where if you are giving the option as A. The mode argument is optional and the default value is R, which we have already seen, which means that the file will only be read. So we see how to do that. You can open a file with the function open. We are trying to create a file called output.txt in the write mode. This will create a file object and assign to the variable fout. So if you run this, it will create an empty file. So a file like this without any content. This shows the file output.txt which is opened in the write mode and the file object is fout in our program. You can use a write method to write to a file. Write method take a string as an argument. If fout.write string writes the contents of a string to the file, returning the number of characters written, and /n describes the ending of the line. For example, if you want to write a file, line 1 equal to first line, then if you want to write it to the file you just created, you can write fout.write line 1. If you want to write another line, you can write line 2 equal to second line, fout.write line 2. If you execute this, it will write line 1 and line 2, and in this case it will print the number of characters written in the second line. Files once opened should be closed after using, otherwise system resources will be wasted. So you can close it with the function close. So you can type fout dot close. So this will close the file. So you can see that it has contents first line and second line. It is a good practice to use the with keyword for this. Advantage is that file is properly closed after its use is finished. If you are not using the with keyword, then you should call fout.close, which we have already seen, to close the file and immediately free up any system resources used by it. So instead of using fout.close, you can use like this: with open output.txt as f read. This is the variable we are using, f. So in this case we are using the read function to read the contents of the file. We are using the print function to print the contents of read underscore data. So it prints first line and second line, which are the contents of the file output.txt. To read a file's contents, the function f.read is used with the argument size. Size describes the size of data that should be read. This reads some quantity of data and returns it as a string. Size is an optional numeric argument. When size is omitted or negative, the entire contents of the file will be read and returned. f.readLine reads a single line from the file. So you can use so it just prints the first line, which is first line. So in both of these cases, you can see that we haven't used close function, since we have used it with the with keyword. So the working of this is, after this piece of code are executed, in this case this one, the close will automatically be called. So there is no need for the user to call the close function. Another useful function is tell. f.tell returns an integer giving the file object's current position. So you can get the current position with the function tell. So what this piece of code does is, it will open output.txt f is the file object, and we are using readLine function which prints the first line. Then we are printing the current position with the tell function. So after the readLine function, the current position will be at the end of the first line. So if you run this, it will print first line, then 11. So we can check whether 11 is the position. So first line is first line. So position after first line is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and at last you have a slashing character. You need to include the space also. So f.tell will print 11. You can also use a loop for reading a file line by line. This is very helpful if you are trying to read a large file. So the syntax is, first you are opening the file output.txt. In this case you are giving the argument r, which means the file is opened in read mode. Then you are writing a for loop for line in out, where out is the file object, line is the variable that holds each line. Then you are printing line. So this for loop will print each line of output.txt line by line. So it will print first line, then second line. So output is first line, second line. So if the file has 100 lines, this loop will print all the 100 lines. Or if you want all the lines at once, you can use the read function. The readLine function will only print a single line. To change the file object's position, the function seek can be used. Seek function takes two arguments, offset and whence. Whence argument describes the reference point, the point from which to consider. The position is computed from adding offset to a reference point. Whence value of 0 means beginning of the file. 1 means current file position and 2 means end of the file. Default value is 0, which means beginning of the file. So you can give out.seek 1, 0. 1 is the offset and whence is 0. 0 means beginning of the file. So if you seek 1, 0 means take the output.txt file, move to the beginning and move one position, one character to the right. So the first line is first line. You moved it to the beginning of the file, then moved one position to the right. So the current position is I. So if you print this, will print the first line starting from the current position. The current position we have set using the seek function as starting from I. So this will print IRST line. You can also give like this if you want to start from the beginning. Out.seek 1, where whence is taken as 0. So if you run this again, you will be getting the same result. So if you give this, will print the current position after the read line. So read line print the first line. So if you print the current position using the tell, this will print the end of the first line, which we have already seen as 11. So this will print 11. So this is how it works.